Here's another quick video. This one is up in Alaska. It's a processing plant. The job was basically these pile were rotten, and some were stovepiped on bottom. Some had repair pile, and they were repair pile, and they had bag form concrete poured around them. We had to chip all that out. There was still bearing, so there was they were actually working while we were doing this. So all these were load bearing pile, and we had to crib them up and put posts and beams, and I turned everything into something permanent. So instead of taking it down, and we had like screw jacks, aluminum screw jacks, but instead we just used 4x12, and then I would just brace it. And these are all fiberglass slip forms, Simon's forms. Here, and I'd put a bracket up there on the posts, and then we'd through bolt it or lag it into the 12x. This is actually removing, chipping out all the old concrete. You never know what you would get when you got down to the transitioning. These were all repairs. They would cut them in. They'd use a bottle jack sometimes to jack them into bearings. Sometimes they wouldn't put any bearing at all. They were just kind of woose up there, and there'd be a couple nails, but that's why a lot of these were falling over. And since there was so much concrete, they would actually hit another pile next to it, sort of like a domino effect. And it was pretty much a big liability and whatnot. So this is just a quick one. Like this, we chipped this out, and this is what we found in the pile. Just completely eroded. There's another one, stovepiped in the inside. They had wire mesh cage on them, and we'd ship all that. We'd chip them down about 2 feet into the mud, about a foot usually. And then I would put the next form right on top of them, put rebar cage around the area. There's one here that's just got a bottle jack in it. Pretty funny. But instead of, like right here, for example, I was doing this kind of, I'd put an additional form on the base for additional support. I would tie it in, drill through the other existing form with rebar dowels, and then put another form just to get more of a bigger base sometimes. We came across all kinds of different scenarios with this. It was just, there's another, kind of I adapted another one. Instead of removing it, I just cut out the bad chunk real quick, because they actually wanted me to just remove a bunch of these, and I was like, why? Might as well just cut them and form them and throw them in real fast if I had the extra materials in the grout. So we just put in about probably 20 more posts than what was needed. Here's an old bottle jack from back in the 20s, I think, that we found cast into one of these old concrete bag forms. And we went through more 90-pound jackhammers, parts and pieces than you can imagine on this job. Pretty brutal. And this was on top of going up there and replacing all the caps while with jacking plates right off of the piling. I'm actually just filming the my wife's laptop, so instead of this is whatever. Catwalk. We started out with the proper catwalk with handrails, and by the end of the job, we were doing little L hangers with just one board, and just running and jumping, and only 2 guys fell, and then one of them fell from a boatsman's chair. This was all tidal, so we were working wet and dry sometimes. It just depended what we were doing. It's my drawings with stuff and weight ratios and things like that. Here's another, we put in these, that was where the 50-ton jack went. So I would actually put these sistered up 4x12s under a load. I would actually press them into the bottom on these big foot plates I'd build out of 4x12, these big pads, and then I would actually jack them up And in order to keep a load on them, I would leave the shim. I would I built a box, a C box. I would slide it around the jack and then shim that with steel, and then let go of the jack and pull it back out. So it all came out pretty good. I mean, initially what the damage was caused by an earthquake. A lateral movement allowed the 16-inch wide flange beam to buckle. And so we went through the whole plant, and pretty big job, about $7 million. And these are all, and none of the piling were strapped, or they didn't have any brackets or through bolted. They had nothing. That's why everything just shifted and rolled. And the amount of, there was only one steel beam on the outboard leading edge, and it was so rusted in the webbing that when we hit with a hammer, it was just like Swiss cheese. So I couldn't believe that thing was even standing. Here's one of the, it's like maybe probably an 18-inch or 20-inch tongue and groove Simon's form. And then we would grout pour it up with high pressure grout. It was like FX 70 and FX, I think it was 2 something. No injuries on this job. Nobody got hurt. I could not believe it, considering what we were doing. A lot of work, a lot of 90-pound jackhammering, and a lot of working in the mud, which isn't fun. These guys did a pretty good job. We went through probably about 10 or 15 guys, firing them because they just burnt guys. This job just burnt guys out. I'll probably make one more video of this particular job, just of us replacing the caps, because we had to actually blow holes in the floor pan, and I'll do all kinds of funny things to get these caps put in place. I think this is pretty much the end of all these pictures here.